how the
thing about the 47 partition, yeah, it's because there's no government meetings of them saying we're gonna just this acceptance of the partition plan is just a meme. Like there's none of that. What do you think about that Ben Gurion thing that I mentioned at the beginning, with the idea that that they consider the Arabs the aggressors and the Jews defend themselves, but also that's only half of it because we attack them politically, like we aggress on them politically, and they defend themselves from us.
About Ben Gurion saying that?
Yeah, 38. He said that.
My take on a lot of the my take is that these are my broad feelings. Okay, is that from like up until like 1920. I think it feels like Jews had this kind of delusional idea that like if they just started buying land and kicking people off, eventually they'd all kind of like fuck off and it'd be okay. And that from like 1920 to like the 1930s, they were like, okay, well, there's kind of problems, but like the Brits are cool with us and we'll figure this shit out and maybe we can, you know, I don't know, maybe we got to kick some people out. And then past like the Arab revolts and then the Brits cracking down on immigration, the Jews are like, okay, well, this is fucked and, you know, they're all attacking us and killing us and now it looks like we're going to have to fight. And then the ideology of the Jews that they adopted from the 40s onwards was basically like, okay, listen, okay, we're going to tell the people, guys, this is what we're going to get and, you know, keep our aspirations.
Let's break down where these protests are coming from.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, where are they coming from? George Soros. I love when people are... It'd be really funny if they were like, yep, George Soros is doing this. Because it's like, I'm Brian, kill me. Please, somebody. I'm Brian, please somebody kill me. And today I'm going to be talking about how these anti-Semitic protests are actually being sponsored by big Jewish donor George Soros, the puppet master. What a funny way. What a funny way that would be to just like, you know, stop the anti-Semitism, stop the anti-Semitic hate. I don't think it's George Soros, by the way. And I don't think they're going to say George Soros. Just like... From the network that brought you big Jewish donors are funding and facilitating America's great replacement, here comes hours and hours of coverage about how how anti-Semitic these Jewish college students are. Like, remember, half of the coverage that they do is literally Jews are destroying the moral fabric of Western civilization. That is a one-to-one comparison to Nazi propaganda. That's it. That's literally what the fascists believed. That is literally what Fox News watchers believe. That's what they say. Okay, George Soros is...
Fox News on normalizing anti-Semitism even as violence against Jews surges. When elected leaders and media personalities spew these tropes, that empowers bigots to act with greater regularity and force. On November 13th, Joe DeGenova, frequent guest on Lou Dobbs tonight on the Fox Business Network, maligned Jewish financier and progressive activist George Soros, claiming he controls a very large part of the career foreign service of the United States Department. You know, continued he corrupted FBI officials. He corrupted foreign service officials, accusing Soros of controlling the government and world affairs and enduring an anti-Semitic slur. It is rooted in the protocols of the elders of Zion, Tsarist propaganda invented early in the 20th century to demonize and scapegoat Jews. The propaganda has likewise been used as the basis to demonize, persecute, and even slaughter Jews around the world for generations.
You know, a placeholder for Jew. That's it.
That's true, though.
Let's keep going.
From who is funding them, where they started, and
like
actually where the dollars are going. All right, well, let's begin. First off, they're everywhere.
And they're everywhere, Brian, but they're often under one banner. This is what to know behind these protests you're seeing.
Everything.
On-campus organizations, Students for Justice in Palestine. Brian, it's basically behind most of the major campus protests we've seen. And as I pointed out, as I mentioned, It's everywhere. It's all across the country.
Yeah, you got 200 plus chapters, various sizes, smaller ones over in Tufts, smaller ones over in Emerson, but bigger in the Ivy League school.
And look at that. Look at all of the Hassan. Look at all the fucking Hassan research. Look at that. You like how it's just Twitter. That's where he gets all his sources of information from constantly. Yes, I'm just watching random YouTube videos, man, and just like giving like, you know, my little opinion here and there. That's all. Just bouncing around watching different YouTube videos. I didn't mean to like react to someone reacting. That wasn't like original.
How do they communicate? You could guess it.
Just
They go
being the first video I clicked on, man. I do like all kinds of stuff. I
through
like to do this. I play games. I watch whole movies, TV shows.
Wait, I thought there was like a big shadow.
I just like watching Hassan because his reactions usually are poor, and I got a lot to say about it. And that's about it, man.
Shadowy mega donor behind all of this. It turns out they're just describing how college students protest and also how they communicate and organize. That's right, everybody. College students are on that tic-tac. Let me tell you, okay? They're saying ACAB, which stands for Assassinate Cool American Babies. If you hear people saying LOL, that means legalize opium legally. That's right. And they're doing it right in front of our eyes.
go through the cell phone, go through text messages, go through certain sites. And these are some of the colleges that have gotten our attention.
Yeah, these are the notable chapters. These are the ones we're covering.
Is that really a thing? Like, hold on, guys. Is that really a thing? Or, like, are we being, like... Cool American babies? Is that like a thing? I don't know.
In the news right now.
They're talking about it like it's that map of active white supremacy hate groups. Bro, if this was a map of active white supremacy hate groups, they would be talking about how patriotic they are. I'm sure they have done a ton of coverage about like how woke and gay Media Matters is, or all these like right-wing tracker accounts are and right-wing tracker media operations are, for looking at a bunch of brave patriots, you know, the Gravy Seals, doing what needs to be done, and greatly overemphasizing or how much they're like hyperventilating about that sort of thing. ACAB, assassinate cute American babies.
Now they're making the most noise, you know, Berkeley, NYU, Yale, Columbia. But again, I think the important point is 200 plus chapters across the country for students for justice in Palestine.
So they've been there, they've been simmering underneath, waiting since October 7th. There's been a lot of talk about the...
Yeah, they've been waiting. Ooh, they're waiting in the shadows. They're like, ooh, I can't wait.
The pro-Israel because of the massacre they suffered. But believe it or not, if you go on TikTok, there are more things Stand With Palestine from October 7th, even the following week, than there was Stand With Israel.
So the big question is, well, who's behind Students for Justice in Palestine? Well, here are some of the groups funding that organization. This
My favorite is when, Wall Street Journal writes like insane shit. Welcome to Dearborn, America's jihad capital. And that's from 2024, by the way. That's not 2002. That's not 2001, which, by the way, they said the same exact shit in 2001 as well. Imams and politicians in the Michigan city side with Hamas against Israel and Iran against the U.S. Who's behind the anti-Israel protest by Steven Stalinsky? Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis and others are grooming activists in the U.S. and across the West. The Houthis, man, they're doing the dang thing. And I've heard from authorities that there's this guy named Hassan, which sounds real close to Hamas, by the way, having them Houthis on.
Yeah, he did though. I mean, he can sit here. I'll let him finish. I'll let him finish before I get into what I want to say about him with the Houthi pirate, and then even what I felt like was, I don't know, sympathizing. But I'll let him go. I'll let him go.
Finding the attractive Houthis and bringing them on the broadcast so they can poison the minds of the goddamn youth.
Pakistan's
See, but now that he's done with the whole about bringing the Houthi pirate on, the problem with the issue I thought was like the like everybody was like, oh, he's bringing them on. That's whatever. I mean, if you got a platform and you want to like argue against something, like bring on somebody that you don't agree with, just to have a nice like open air debate and live on stream, that's cool. You want to do that, that's fine. The problem with it is when you bring them on and then you sit there and constantly cup their balls and suck on their and like fanalize how awesome that they are for what they're doing, like stopping whole in shipping lanes and shit like that's like it's terrible. And then he goes and brings on not just that, but then you go and you bring on a 16-year-old Israeli kid, not too long ago. That was like recent, in the last like 2 weeks. You bring on a 16-year-old Israeli kid, and you grilled him about like I can't even say grilled him, but you asked him serious questions about like they touched a little bit on like Holocaust. If you guys didn't see it, they touched a little bit on the Holocaust, the Nakba, and all that other stuff, like in the 40s, the Nakba, and I think it was the 40s, right, 48 or something like that, the war. But he brings him on and talks to him like that. But then you bring the Houthi pirate on and you talk to the Houthi pirate about fucking anime and calling him Luffy and because of One Piece and like what kind of anime do you guys watch over there? But you didn't talk no serious shit to the Houthi pirate when you could have. And you could have been, like, fair and played, like, both sides accordingly, or properly, I should say. Not accordingly, properly. You could have grilled the pirate the way you grilled the 16-year-old Israeli kid. And I just feel like that's where he loses credibility with me. Like, that's where I feel like he's not even just lose credibility, but that's where it feels like, where I said earlier, that's where it feels like the sympathizing comes in. Like you're sympathizing with terrorists, but then you're grilling a 16-year-old Israeli kid about what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, but you asked no serious questions to the Houthi pirate. So it's like, yeah, naturally people are going to think that you're kissing ass to the Houthis and Hamas, but you're bringing, a 16-year-old kid that don't know shit about, the thick of it all, at least. I mean, he gets he had a surface level understanding of it, but that's it. He had a surface level understanding, and that's it. Like, and you grill him, and again, I can't even really say grill, but you asked him serious questions, and questions that you didn't ask a Houthi pirate. Like, and you had a pirate on. You could have literally asked him whatever you wanted to, and you didn't. Like, you asked him about his recreation shit. Like, what do you do for recreational fun there? Like, get out of here with that shit. Like, it's so stupid.
For Westchester Foundation, headed by an anti-Zionist ex-Orthodox Jew. And you can see they sponsor, Brian, all these different elements of SJP, Students for Justice.
Damn, he hit the hard J on that one. He's like, yeah, headed by a Jew. They're behind the shadows in the darkness. Folks, let's not forget. It is so funny, to me at least, that there are people who literally cannot comprehend in their minds. There are ultra-Zionist Jews out there who think that these dudes would not just, at the flip of a dime, at the tip of a hat, whatever the he's saying is, immediately turn those same crosshairs on them. There is nothing funnier to me than thinking that these dudes, these reactionary pieces of shit, would ever in a million years not turn on you. They are not on your team, big dog. This is why I always say, if tomorrow every single Zionist Jewish person in the United States of America turned around and became rabid anti-Zionists, okay? If you think America would not stop supporting Israel, you are delusional and wrong. That's why it's a laughable notion that people go, oh yeah, Jews have the stranglehold on the media, am I right? They control it. It's like, no, they don't, man. They don't. There happens to be aligning interest here. That's precisely the same reason why these guys are so quick to just also...
I can agree with him on that, though. I mean, they don't. Like, people want to say they do, but they really don't.
So immediately arrest Jewish anti-Zionist
there. That's probably,
protesters
like, the
and
only
subject
time
them
you
to the
agree with
exact
him.
same
Usually
cruelty
his
that they
point
subject the pro-Palestinian protesters that are
smart
of
stuff.
different backgrounds. Yeah,
Far
them
from
Jews,
human.
they're behind everything, folks. Even they're on both sides. They're controlling both sides of this Israel conversation. Here at Fox News, reporting live about
His intelligent responses are way too sparse.
anti-Semitism rising in America. Jews are controlling it. It's great, man. It's cool. Thank you for this phenomenal coverage, Fox News.
Justice
And we've seen these groups out and about. We've seen them with signs, and we've seen some of their chants in terms of what are their resources when they go to jail? What are their resources when they get kicked off campus? Like Congressman Omar's daughter. This is where they can
Congressman.
Did struggle
go.
with
These
that,
are
though.
where a lot of the fun.
Bro, almost hit the shahada on accident, dude. He went, Congressman, la ilaha illallah.
Did struggle.
funding is.
Yeah, they go to A-15 bail, legal defense fund. They're not only organizing, putting it together, but what happens to you if you're arrested at the protest.
Yeah, this isn't, Mom, I got drunk last night, I'm in prison, I got a drunk driving ticket. They know exactly where to go when they get themselves in trouble, and they know exactly their rights when they get themselves on campus.
That's really fucked up that they know their rights, dude. Dude, this is just a glaring W for the pro-Palestinian students. You know what I mean? These guys, they're too smart. They know their fucking rights, man. It's really messed up. We should take their rights away. They're organized and they're informed, and we hate
about that pro-Palestinian. I'm pro-Israel. I believe if the shoe was on the other foot, Israel would cease to exist. This war wouldn't have took this long. It wouldn't even really been a war if you would have gave Hamas the power and the abilities. Just think about it. If Hamas had the capabilities, even the Palestinian people, if Gaza had the capabilities that Israel had, Israel would have been done for. Done for. Wiped off the map. Women, children, kids, wouldn't matter. They would have wiped everybody off the map. So what I say is kill them, because it's them or you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's either going to be you're going to bomb the shit out of them or they're going to bomb the shit out of you. That's really the base of what's going to happen. If you stop the campaign now, they'll turn around and attack you twice as hard as they did on October 7th, and they're going to keep doing that shit twice as hard. They're going to keep doing that over and over and over and over again until all the Jews are dead. They will do that. They even said they were going to do that. So I believe Israel's response is the only response that you could possibly have to it. Seriously, end of it all, right there. There's the end of it.
hate that. We hate that. God, I'm so mad right now.
And this leads to this.
Other funding.
And I get people are going to say, well, what about the women and children? Bomb them all. Bomb them all, because they'll do that to you. And that's what you need to do. You need to strike hard. You need to strike first. You need to wipe them off the mat and not give them a chance to do that again at all, period. Whatever country you're in right now, think about it. Whatever country you're in right now, what if that was, what would your country's response, what would you want your country's response to be to an October 7th event that happened inside your country? And then the leader of the cell that did that said they're going to keep doing that. Wouldn't you want your country to respond the same? Wouldn't you want them to just full force attack everyone to protect you? I feel like people would want their leaders to react like that. So that's why I say and just bomb them all. Wipe them out, get it over with. They should have had this over with, because, I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's my take on it. My take is just bomb them all.
Student governments, talking about how the protest fund is self-funded, American Muslims for Palestine. A lot of this is opaque stuff.
Student governments, when I was in college, they used to pick out stand-up comedians and when to appear and what venue to go. They're doing protests. Now, this might be the most important wall.
Well, this is off-campus stuff. So Students for Justice for Palestine, that's on-campus student organizations. Then you got stuff that's happening off of campus.
Yeah, now let's get to the good stuff. The real demons, okay? The real demons. Muslims, okay? Let me tell you. Yeah, Sure, Jews are responsible for the anti-Israel protests as well, but let me tell you, you know who else is responsible? Them goddamn Arabs! Them goddamn Arabs, them Muslim mans, brother!
Like American Muslims for Palestine, the parent organization, informally, of SJP.
Right, and you see a lot of these lecturers hop on campus. They got to get paid. That's where the money comes from. We see a lot of their antics. Like on Monday was El-Quds Day. They stopped the Golden Gate.
Monday was El-Quds Day. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, they were saying glory to the martyrs, brother. What the they were saying we will dismantle the Zionist entity.
Bridge. They maybe block traffic in your tunnel, in your area, to make what the point? That they're powerful, that they have something to say? And El-Quds, not a positive organization.
Well, tell everybody, what is Al-Quds a reference of?
They're the outgrowth of
the Al-Quds Committee, April Death to America protest.
The Islamic Republic of Iran. The Al-Quds force is the one that kills our people in Iraq and tries to bomb them out.
Kills our people in Iraq? Bro, what are our people doing in Iraq? I thought we pulled out. What the do you mean? Excuse me? Why are our people in Iraq? What's going on there? Is anyone going to ask that question? What are they doing over there? What's that about? Okay, never mind.
Syria as late as 2 days ago.
So named after Al-Quds, the Al-Quds Committee is the one, for example, the protest you heard, Death to America.
Guys, you need to understand something. Many of you in the chat are woke libtards talking about Al-Quds actually means Jerusalem.
Al-Quds or Quds is the Arabic name for Jerusalem. Hence, this event is also called Jerusalem Day. In Arabic, the word Al-Quds translates to the Holy One.
In Arabic, do you understand something? It sounds scary to me, though. Okay. Oh, Al-Quds simply means Jerusalem. Okay. Well, guess what? You know what it means to me? Al-Qaeda. That's right. Sounds quite similar to Al-Qaeda. And also, another thing that they're teaching our children in school, algebra. That's right. Did you know that they are teaching our children Islamic sciences in our schools, teaching them the number zero and the number 1 and 2, teaching them algebra? I will not be having that. Hell no. Al Jazeera, Al-Qaeda, Al-Quds. Kind of fucked up, if you ask me. We better stop that shit right now. No more numbers. No more algebra.
A chance. That's this group who also has big plans come this summer.
The worst is yet to come for the DNC. In Chicago, plans...
Oh, they love that. He's like, oh, yeah, they're going to disrupt the DNC. It's like...
So already in place to create chaos in the streets, inside or out. And they're not pro-Republican. They're just anti-Democratic Party unless they change and become pro-Palestinian.
So that's the AstroTurf behind.
That's the AstroTurf? You did not describe... Bro either doesn't know what AstroTurfing means or just is, I guess, trying to act like this is AstroTurfing. I don't know, like misinforming their audience deliberately. He just described how all of these college campus students are literally communicating and organizing on social media, which genuinely is the exact opposite. Fundamentally the opposite of AstroTurfing. He described a grassroots movement and then just simply ended it by saying, and that's how they're AstroTurfing it, folks. He mentioned a bunch of self-funded philanthropic organizations that don't just work with pro-Palestinian activists that get arrested, but just across the board, like really work with bail funds and whatnot, tied it all together and openly recognized that they were you know, organizing on social media, genuinely grassroots, only to turn around and be like, and that's why it's AstroTurf, folks. Come on, Hassan. Normally they'd say something about Jewish funding, but they're a little handcuffed here. I know. They still hit that, though. They still hit the hard J in the beginning of the coverage where they were like, it's a Jew that controls the pro-Palestinians. Westpac, run by a Jew. They just had the opportunity not to do that, and they still chose to do it. And I respect that integrity, okay? Anyway, let's see what my girl Kat is saying. Kat is, of course, Palestinian. She's a Media Matters person as well. She's dope. Let's see what she has to say.
You are missing out on some seriously unhinged coverage of these college protests. Student encampments are popping up nationwide, standing against the genocide happening in Gaza. And I'll tell you this, warhawks, and especially conservative warhawks, are losing their collective mind. So instead of my usual Friday recap, let's talk about how bad this rhetoric's gotten, because it's not great. Sentient hazing scandal Jesse Waters invented a completely new guy to be mad.
Sentient hazing scandal Jesse Waters. I love that. She watches Fox News 24/7 for brain rot maxing. Yes. I'm a fan of Media Matters, as you guys know. I have a lot of friends that work there. I respect a lot of the work that they do. There are definitely some Media Matters guys in the aftermath of October 7 that I was like a little sussed out on, but they've calmed down. Like they very quickly were like, okay, never mind. Yeah, no, Israel is doing some There were a couple where I was like, bro, really? Like, what's happening? You were progressive, but Kat is obviously Palestinian.
And don't worry, it's super racist.
Biden's making us pay Johnny Jihad's tuition. Johnny Jihad can just walk from Mexico to Texas, hop on a plane.
Johnny Jihad. Do you on a national news outlet says Johnny Jihad. That was as bad as when Trump was calling COVID the China virus. Oh my fucking God.
And slip into the crowd on the Columbia Quad. They've been grooming little Johnny Jihads to burst into flames for
Johnny Jihads.
Little Johnny
semester.
Jihads.
Kaboom.
Please, Mr. Jihad was my father. Call me Johnny.
Kaboom.
That same night, a guest made a really great comparison about these protests.
What we are seeing right now on our streets and on our campuses is an illegal occupation. Just like we were bombed.
That's stupid. I'm sorry, you cannot say that that's an illegal occupation. That's peaceful protests in quads and stuff on campus. That's not an occupation. It's a peaceful protest. I have to, as I say, they are peacefully protesting, but I don't go for the rhetoric that they scream while they're protesting. Like, it's one thing to protest. You know, you want to peacefully protest. Go ahead, more power to you. But the problem is when you're screaming from the river to the sea, that's a genocidal slogan. It really is. I mean, let's be real. It is. Just like screaming intifada, that's violent uprising. That's the same thing. I mean, you're peaceful. You're being peaceful, yes, but you're also calling for violence at the same time. You're peacefully calling for violence. It's stupid. I don't think that, I don't think that they should be. I don't think they should be doing that. That's a bit much. That's a bit much to scream that shit. I mean, if you want to be like, indiscriminate bombing and stuff, because Israel has done that. But I'm all for them. I'm on their side, so that don't matter to me. That don't bother me none, not even a little bit.
By the Japanese in Pearl Harbor well into World War II, and that woke us up. We have been bombed, okay? And Americans need to wake up right now. So
what is she saying?
There is a course correction because they are following the exact textbook.
She's like, we need to do what we did to Japan, but to our campuses, okay? We need to nuke these encampments. These encampments are doing a Pearl Harbor.
Like, multiple people are convinced these are being puppeteered by a shadow government.
Many are questioning who's organizing this movement, pointing out that these tents are pretty similar, right, at campuses across the country, even though they're hundreds of miles apart.
Why do they have all of them the same green tents? Who is producing this massive amount of literature?
You look at the tents, you can tell this is an inorganic thing. This is definitely a setup. This is definitely an operation.
You're telling me they all went and bought tents from a sports supply store? Wouldn't it make more sense if this was being run by Iran? And finally, Jesse Waters is convinced that only women are supporting Palestine, and it's because they're too
That's
simple.
the best one. This is the best clip.
And I think I can speak for the women at the table.
You cannot.
Are generally nurturing people. And when their professors are giving them better grades for their social activism, they're trying to appeal to their teachers, and they've been told they're oppressed as women. And they identify with...
It's awesome because it's like, it literally is just like mental illness all the way down. It's just like hallucinations built on top of other hallucinations, built on top of other hallucinations. It's crazy. All right, The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series is on, baby. Are there jump scares in this? Bro, I don't like that. No, bro, this game f***ed me up, dude. This is not allowed.
We're done with the political talk. I don't want to watch no Walking Dead. That game sucks. I started streaming it I can't say it sucks. I started streaming it when I first. It was like my first game I streamed. I can't really talk about that. Biden will lose the election because of this. Biden is not going to lose the election. I'm telling you right now. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but he's not. He's not. I know he's old, and when he talks about or Rafa instead of Haifa, and like he like, you know what I mean? Like he was talking about how Israel was going to attack the Rafah crossing, and he called it the Haifa crossing. Haifa crossing's in Israel. It's not even, Rafah's the Egypt border. It's on, or the Egypt border, and he called it Haifa. So I mean, I know his brain's going a little bit, but the way I look at it is, it doesn't matter who wins. We're screwed either way. Because I mean, I live in America. We're screwed either way. Like, I live in New York. We always vote Democrat, usually. And I myself am center left. I guess I'm more center. I mean, I agree with, pieces of both sides, but I tend to favor what fucking wacky these days. So, I mean, both sides are, but the way I look at it is the Republicans got more dangerous liars.
Here is Biden's approval of handling the Israel-Hamas war. 81% of 18 to 34-year-olds disapprove. Raw data is even more damning. 35 to 49% has 29% approval. 50 to 64 has 30% approval. 65% has 37% approval. It's
you guys can look at the numbers.
terrible. He is so cooked. And I've been saying this for months. He's cooked because he's not hitting one direction. He's trying to literally do the both sides angle. And that's how you lose even the older population. That's like, dude, take a stance. By both sidesing Israel's ongoing ethnic cleansing campaign, he's even losing the dudes who are like, no, Israel should be doing more ethnic cleansing. Think about that. 18 to 34-year-olds, the Hassan Abihed contingency here is at an 81% disapproval. How is he doing both sides? Am I missing something? Here's how he's doing both sides in the most laughable and worst possible way. He is obviously full throttle, unconditionally in support of Israel, sending more weapons to Israel, constantly offering political cover to Israel at the UN Security Council, vetoing anything that Israel wants the United States to veto. But simultaneously, he's looking extra weak by saying, Benjamin Netanyahu has gone too far. He keeps leaking to the media that behind closed doors, he's angry at Benjamin Netanyahu. That only appeals to like 8 people in the divorcelli orbiter community, and those guys are already incredibly motivated to defend Israel anyway. So you are only galvanizing basically like 8 total people. There is no real contingency for those who are like, I am a diehard Democrat and I love Biden trying to do his very best while simultaneously giving full-throated support to Israel. That's it. For the rest of the population, they are obviously very upset with the way that Biden is mishandling this. There's no constituency, there's no contingency, there's nothing for it. For the rest of the population, especially younger populations, they look to this and go, what the fuck are you doing? We've seen all of the dead children. This needs to be put an end to. This is ridiculous. For the older population, some on the far right and some in the middle that has been brought up with unfiltered pro-Israeli propaganda their whole lives, they think, well, take a stance, man. Take a stance. We want you to go full-throated on in support of Israel, which he is doing, but like, don't criticize Israel at all. It makes you look weak. The irony, of course, is that the only one who benefits from this is going to be his challenger, who can just sit on the sidelines, despite the fact that he played a significant role in October 7. It feels like this is the Democrat Party's version of abortion, okay? It's so crazy. Biden's abortion is Israel. Obviously, the Republican Party, anytime they do stuff in the direction of like restricting abortion further, criminalizing abortion further, they end up galvanizing and negatively polarizing the population against them because the population is very upset at the abortion restrictions to begin with. That's a minefield politically to navigate through. Trump is having a very hard time navigating through that. What's hilarious, on the other hand, is that the Democrats are trying to give a gimme to Donald Trump because most people cannot connect Trump's actions, because most people are not very intelligent when they do political analysis. So they can't connect Donald Trump's actions to October 7. So they see Biden also facilitating Israel's current genocide, which, you know, Brandon has a lot of blood on his hands for sure. And therefore, Trump, the less he talks about Palestine, the more the Democrats look bad. The more the less Trump has to, the more Trump just sits back on the issue of Palestine and Israel, the more people can imagine what his positions are. And most people, because they're not, you know, thinking about this critically and intelligently, can imagine what his positions are, and they imagine it in a very favorable fashion. When they're imagining what Trump's position is on the Palestinian issue, it suits whatever their personal ideological standing is. Those who are reactionarily in support of Israel think Trump is going to be extra hard on Palestinians, and they are correct. Those who want Palestinians to survive can now sit there and imagine that maybe Trump would be better than Biden on the issue of Palestinians. They're wrong, but it doesn't matter. You can't stop the broader population from thinking this way. That's not how politics works. Look no further than the way that Republicans fuck up the economy and have Democrats come in to try and desperately fix it, and then actually end up putting the economy on a, I guess, from a capitalist sense, a better trajectory, only to have the Republican come back and take advantage of that, and then fuck it up with more tax cuts and more deregulation, only to have the Democrats come back and try to fix it one more time. Fix it from a capitalist framework, I'm saying. So that is the reason why people over the course of these past 30, 40 years have developed this attitude that Republicans are good for the economy and the Democrats are bad for the economy. It's because people do not have the critical thinking skills to recognize that it's actually the Republican Party taking advantage of the Democratic Party's initiatives and taking advantage of the momentum, because the economy doesn't fix itself overnight. What do you mean? Republicans also serve capitalism from a capitalist framework? No, there is too much capitalism. You can do a little too much capitalism that you need to, like, you know, that will end up harming the economy broadly, or create too much economic uncertainty, too much volatility, too much income inequality, too much wealth inequality. It also goes back to the ratchet effect as well. Anyway, it will be very interesting, Osita says, to see whether and how the characterization of the Gaza protests in the media will shape the politics of this cohort moving forward. The concept that denigrating a particular constituency might radicalize them further is applied exclusively to conservative voters. I've never read a warning that speaking about young people in the most unhinged terms available might trigger a backlash. Speaking personally, I didn't come to college particularly invested in social issues. Then I read in The Atlantic that most students in America are mentally deranged, will run crying out of class if there's a word in a book they don't like, and want to send white men to the gulag. This did not seem correct to me. I started asking questions. Now, of course, I'm a woke commissar. Most young people are not even liberal, let alone on the left. They're already gay race communists. Are they somehow going to become gayer? Yeah. Can you explain Trump's involvement with October 7? Yes, I have.
Trump's followers don't give a flying shit if he's a convicted felon. So just the word convicted felon ain't going to make a difference. But I really just don't think Biden stands to lose this. Like, not at all. Not at all. I know they'll scream that it's rigged again because Trump's going to lose again. But I just don't think that he's going to. I just don't think Biden has a chance of losing this. And either way, it's bad because both of them, you know, Biden's, you know, his mind slipping, and Trump is deranged. So, I mean, we either go senile or deranged. I mean, those are the choices on the ballot: deranged or senile.
Times over, but I guess it bears repeating. Donald Trump's administration was incredibly right-wing on the issue of Israel, more than previous administrations were. They took off all of the safeguards that prior administrations had on the issue of Israel. Safeguards that were held together with ticker tape, but they were there nonetheless. Things like not moving the embassy, the American embassy, to Jerusalem, with a full recognition that Jerusalem belongs to Israel, because half of Jerusalem
we're
is
all gonna be
occupied
alone
territory.
and-
Donald Trump also permanently recognized the annexed territory of Golan Heights. Golan Heights is Syrian land that Israel illegally occupies. Donald Trump and his administration gave the Palestinian problem, the Palestinian issue, to his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner's bold, brilliant initiative was basically the Abraham Accords, which was normalizing relations, which already were normalized between Gulf states and other menace states with the state of Israel, completely sidestepping the Palestinians and not even writing anything for the Palestinians at all. This was obviously
normalized.
very frustrating for the Palestinians
isn't
who were like, what the we're still here. You can't just simply write us off. That is the reason why the Palestinian resistance openly turned around and did October 7, because when you are desperate, your final act is always going to be, especially one born out of desperation, your final act is going to be a violent one to say, look, the occupation will be costly for you. Biden literally continued with everything Trump did for years. How is he any less responsible, buddy? Wait, what? At what point do you think that I ever said Biden is not just as responsible as Donald Trump for not changing the course on any of those things, buddy? I have said exactly those words that you are weirdly contentiously bringing back to me as though you and I are on opposing sides of this argument. The is wrong with these people? Do you not speak the language of English? What's happening? Are you just operating on resentment and anger? What's happening here? He did hit the America KKK on note, so I might need to use Maoist standard English. How do you feel about Hamas purposely hiding in hospitals, schools, etc.? Selective outrage. The level of gaslighting is insane. Who attacked who again? Please remind me. We got another one. We got another October 7 lever that returned. I refuse to believe you support Hamas. Not you justifying October 7th debate. Literally harassing Jewish people. Or maybe following since April 18th. Yeah. October 7 lever coming back to return. Okay. Chatter. There is no justification for Israel's actions from the jump. If you do not know how the Israeli state in its inception operated, you should read a book, 10 Myths by famous Israeli.
But what Hassan isn't saying right now is that the Arabs started the war. In the 40s, they started the war. They went to war with Israel instead of a two-state solution where Israelis and Palestinians lived side by side peacefully. The Arabs wanted the Palestinians, Arabs, whatever. That's what I'm referring to when I say Arab. I'm referring to Palestinians in this instance. The Arabs at the time didn't want to live side by side with Israel. I mean, you could look this up. I mean, I know what I'm talking about right now. I mean, I might be a little vague with the details, but essentially, they sat down. They wanted to talk peace. They wanted a two-state solution. They wanted Israelis wanted to live side by side with the Arabs, and the Arabs didn't want that. They wanted them to be like subservient, like below them. They wanted to have a second-class citizen, and only certain people born after a certain point in time could have. Like, it was just stupid. Like, they didn't want to live side by side, so they in turn decided to go to war with them instead. Then they lost. They lost, and everyone goes, "Oh well, Israel just they kicked them out of their lands and they expelled them to Gaza." No, that was the deal. That was what was happening to the rest of the people who didn't, you know what I mean? Like the people that didn't participate in the war. Okay, well now you guys can go settle over here now because we're not going to let you live. You know what I mean? Like you just attacked us. Like you just went to war with us and you lost. So we're just going to put you over here in this little area over here and you guys can stay there. And that was pretty much
Israeli historian Ilan Pape is a good place to start. 100 Years of Palestine by Rashid Khalidi is another good book that you can read to see the Palestinian perspective and the Palestinian history.
Like they're doing right now.
Two easy to read
Fighting a
books
war that they're winning,
you
and they're
can
getting accused
engage
of
with.
ethnic
Okay,
cleansing.
if you think that
Getting accused like it's an
October
apartheid
7th
state when
happened
it's
in a
really not.
vacuum, you are wrong. If you think that October 7th happened out of nowhere, specifically due to unrestricted Jew hatred from the
That is,
Palestinian
I'm sorry,
side,
it might
you
not
unfortunately
it might not have been like completely
dick.
unrestricted like Jew hatred or anything like that, but no, yeah, I know October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum. Everyone says that. It's the constant like talking about October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum. It didn't happen in a vacuum. It's not an isolated thing that they just attacked the Jews. No, you know, everybody understands that. Everybody understands that there's 70 years of history behind the whole veil. You lift the veil, and there's 70 years of history and hatred there, and it's not just Palestinians' hatred for Israel. But the problem with it is that's how I see it. I see it as not the Arabs are bad people. I mean, the owner of the company I work for is Yemeni. He's from Yemen. So like, I'm not against that. Like, I work for him. I talk to him. He knows like he's cool with my family. He's a really good dude. I know him, like he knows me personally. Like, and that's it. We talk outside of work, and his kids. His kids are cool too. But anyway, I think that the Palestinians, they just don't, because like if you go to Israel, there's about like, I don't know. Let me look it up just so like
thorough.
people know I'm like on that point. Like, how many Arabs? I think it's like 2 million live in Israel. Something like that. 1.2 million Arabs live in Israel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Their population comes up to, near 2.1 million people. 2 million people. That's what I said. 2 million people. So there's 2 million Arabs that live in Israel. How many Jews, how many Israelis live in Gaza? Like, you want to look it up? Let's look it up. How many Jews live in Gaza? I'm surprised Google didn't just laugh. I'm surprised Google didn't just put LOL right here above the Guardian. Just put LOL. Because I really don't think that there's any. I don't think, there's not one. There's not one single Jew that lives in Gaza, but there are 2 million. So to me, that feels like the Israelis are okay with Arabs. It's just the Arabs can't be okay with Israelis. That's what it is. Like, Arabs can't be okay with Jews, but the Jews are okay with Arabs. That's what it looks like to me. I mean, I know it can't just be cut and dry like that or black and white like that, but that's what it feels like to me. That's what I see. And I don't think anybody can sway me to feel any different. Like, the Jews will live side by side with Arabs. The problem is Arabs don't want to live side by side with Jews. And that's what it is. That's what it is to me. I mean, I know there's more history behind it than that, but that's how I feel. I feel like that's
that you just cannot comprehend that people that you perceive on the opposing side are also rational actors. You might not agree with what they did. I certainly do not agree with the killing of civilians, of course. But having said that, you still need to understand where the resentment comes from, why there is resentment at all. But it feels like you might be too difficult to change the mind of on this issue, considering that I'm talking about Shireen Abu Akleh and also the bombing of the Associated Press building, and you literally immediately repeated that Hamas was purposely hiding in hospitals, schools, etc. There is no conclusive evidence that Israel has given about Hamas hiding inside of hospitals, schools, etc. at all. You have only seen weapons caches that Israel will present every now and then, or used to present every now and then when people were paying attention to what Israel's bombing campaign looked like inside Gaza in this past siege, with the caches being like one AK-47 that in your mind completely justifies Israel's sieges on the motherfucking hospitals. The level of gaslighting is insane to you because you have been gaslit. It's a sad state of affairs. Counter protesters are the ones who are going and harassing Jewish people, Jewish anti-Zionists, as well as all the pro-Palestinian student encampments. I went to the Palestinian student encampment at UCLA and I covered it. We were able to get much better insight into what goes on inside of those encampments, and we saw it. It was all old motherfuckers, jobless motherfuckers rolling up, not even a part of the campus, not even a part of the student body population, going there deliberately with an interest in agitating. It's sad. It's sad to see how much someone who has been in this community for a long ass time can be just so deluded on the matter. I still believe that you can change your mind, and I hope you do. I hope you become a little bit more understanding that the Palestinians are also human beings, just like the Israelis are, and they are worthy of emancipation. They totally are just in demanding. I don't even know if this dude is still in the chat, but I hope he's listening to what I have to say, and I hope you can change your mind. Yeah, I'm listening and I will continue to hear different perspectives. I agree with you on most things, but this one is taking time. There you go. See, good to try and diffuse people and shake them from their previously held convictions, chatters. Don't get mad and be like, it's genocide, so this guy, okay? My entire purpose on this planet in my professional career is to try to talk to people and get them to understand a different perspective that they are they seemingly have no interest in seeing. For many, if they've never been introduced to the subject matter with a ton of propaganda, it's relatively easy. For others, especially on the issue of Israel, many people are from birth learning about Israel in a completely different way, and it becomes very much a part of their identity and the way that they see the world. That's why there's so much cognitive dissonance amongst progressives when it comes to the issue of Israel. So many progressives who are wonderful people otherwise, who are kind people, wonderful people that believe in social justice and whatever, literally just like snap in a way when it comes to the issue of Israel.
Oh, this one we're not watching. I don't like Asmongold.
Here-
I used to love watching Asmongold, OTK, and so all that stuff started coming out, man. With like Rich Campbell, and then that Mizkif shit with what's his face? That cover up he did, where the dude like touched was messing with the girl that was drunk, and I don't get into. Like I'm an old man. I got kids. I don't get down with people that do stuff like that. Let's see what Destiny's talking about. Hassan's arch rival. Oh, he's done with the stream? It said he was still alive. We're not going to watch it if he's done with it. We'll go watch a different video.
Here is Biden's approval of handling the Israel-Hamas war. 81% of 18 to 34-year-olds disapprove. Raw data is even more.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this.
Here is Biden's approval of handling the Israel-Hamas war.
Of a debate, because I don't like Asmongold. Ooh, let's watch this.
Hello, everyone. We're so excited that you are here with us this evening. My name is Noah Ginsburg, and I'm the co-president of the Israel Business Association and a business school student here at Columbia.
My name is Eden Yadigar, and I am a junior at the School of General Studies and the president of Students Supporting Israel. First and foremost, we would like to say a huge thank you to all the people that made tonight's event possible. We are immensely grateful for our generous sponsors, to the public safety team, and for the support from everyone at Columbia University that helped make our idea become a reality. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge all the incredibly courageous students in this room and online that work tirelessly to advocate for truth.
Let's get into
individual who constantly puts his life on the line in pursuit of truth and justice. Mr. Musab Hassan Youssef serves as a voice of freedom and peace in the Middle East and beyond. He brings hope not only to those of us living in the United States, but also to an entire generation who, without a new way of thinking, are destined to follow in the destructive patterns of the past.
Mr. Youssef was born in Ramallah to a founding family of the political wing of Hamas, an internationally recognized terrorist organization that is directly responsible for countless suicide bombings and deadly attacks against Israelis.
Mr. Youssef played a role in Hamas and was imprisoned for more than 27 months by the Shin Bet Israeli intelligence service. While in prison, he discovered Hamas was torturing his own people and in relentless search for collaborators. He began to question who his enemies really were: Israel, America, Hamas. Since then, Mr. Youssef has revealed critical information about one of the world's most dangerous terrorist organizations and unveils the truth about his own former secretive role, his agonizing separation from family and homeland, and his dangerous choices in hope for genuine and lasting peace in the region.
Mr. Youssef has spoken at the United Nations and has conferred with ambassadors, presidents, prime ministers, and state officials from governments around the world, providing a unique perspective from inside Hamas. He is the author of the book Son of Hamas, and his next book, From Hamas to America, is coming out in August. We are honored to have him here with us tonight.
Joining him in conversation will be Columbia Business School professor Ran Kivitz, who is an expert in topics of decision-making, behavioral economics, marketing strategy, consumer behavior, and innovation. His latest research explores political science through the lens of decision-making. He's committed to the fight against anti-Semitism on U.S. campuses. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Musab Hassan Youssef and Professor Ran Kivitz.
I guess we'll start. We're a little bit late. Apologies to the audience at home and here. We are both from the Middle East after all, so just a tiny bit late. Thank you so much. This we think is a very important event. Mr. Youssef, I'll cut to the chase. This is your book. It's a bestseller book in the New York Times. And the title is Son of Hamas, a gripping account of terror, betrayal, political intrigue, and unthinkable choices. One of the words caught my attention in particular, and that's the word betrayal. There are those who accuse you of betraying Palestinians. Are they right? Are they wrong? What's the answer?
Well, first of all, good evening to everyone, and thank you for having me. It's a great honor. Yes, this is my choice. I choose the word betrayal because the eve of publishing this book, and they cut me in the act, then this is my punishment. I walked away, and I should not feel guilty about saving human lives because this is what I did. Now, if a majority of my society believe that saving a human life, stopping a suicide bomber from blowing up himself and killing many civilians in the process, if they think that this is okay, I don't have to think the same way. And if my punishment for saving a human life is to be shunned, to be accused of treason, and sentenced to death, then be it. They can say whatever, and traitor or treason, according who? Hamas? Well, how about the entire system will come down? Then what is it going to be? One individual against an entire society praising suicide bombing attacks? And if someone goes against it, the only weapon they have to just say that this is treason, anybody delusion, what we become delusion. What we become traitors. I knew what I was getting myself into, and they can say whatever they want to say. It's their problem.
Studying human choice for 30 years, I'm still not sure, do we have choice, do we make choices or not? But perhaps what we can do is, we're not chosen where we're born. You were born wherever you were born, but we do choose, you did choose, and how we cope with it, what we do with that. And speaking of where you were born and your childhood, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, and also more generally, what is it like to be a child or a woman or a homosexual individual under Hamas rule?
Well, the last one you need to ask the homosexuals. I don't know how it feels like for a homosexual in the Palestinian territories, but it's not acceptable, you know. And it's a very closed society. Me as a child, I was abused by older people. I was beaten up. And of course, you know, I really avoid to talk about this. Even in my book, you know, I honored my father, I honored my people.
Here goes, my internet's messing up again.
Them or,
oh yeah,
to make them
I'm gonna go
bad,
buy me a cable.
Today, I choose to make myself vulnerable. And unfortunately, you know, when you make yourself vulnerable, people think that you are weak. You know, so this is why I avoid to talk about this stuff.
Terrible.
But the amount of violence that I
should
had
be
to
better
witness,
now,
and I'm
but
not the only one. You know, it
it's
was
hit or miss.
okay,
It
and
dipped
it's
there
still
for a
okay
minute.
to
Sorry,
beat up
everyone.
a child. You know,
Just
they do it
getting
at schools, they do it in the
hardwired
mosque,
tomorrow, so
in
we
the
won't have these
homes,
issues anymore.
in the street. It's a very violent culture, and I don't mean, you know, to make them look bad, but there is lots of abuse.
Yeah, you
and there is
can't.
lots
What's
of
funny to
violence
me
when it
though is
comes to
honestly,
children.
real
And as a
quick, what's
child,
funny to me is like he just said about the homosexuality in Gaza isn't accepted like at all. And to that, I think that it's funny that like transgender and um like gays and bisexuals will go and like be like, oh, we're all pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestinian. If you went there, they'd throw your ass off a building, legitimately. Like, I'm not even like just saying that just to be like, that's what they would do to you. That's what they would legitimately do. They would make a public display of you, and that's it. So I don't understand why it's all pro-Palestinian. Oh, the kids are dying, but they would toss you from a building if they're given the chance. Like, people don't even know what they're protesting for. Like, they just have that surface level understanding, and it's just like, I feel like it goes back to adhering to like social groups. Like, naturally, you know, the group of people, because you need to fit in with that group, because you need to fit in with that group. Whereas me, I say what I want to say. I don't care who I fit in with. I don't care if everybody walked away from me for my views. I stand behind them. That's why I've said and continue to say, those women and kids, bomb them, because they would do that to you. I'm a man of logic, and I've been around long enough to understand that a lot, honestly. Honestly, I was 40 years old. I've been around for a while. But that's just the way it is.
Of that region. You know, and unfortunately, the children that we see today in Gaza, and we see them everywhere, suffering because of the poor decisions and the choices that the leadership is making. They don't have anyone to speak on their behalf. You know, many people here on the streets protesting and advocating on behalf of the children, but they fail to condemn Hamas, the reason who's causing all this trouble. And now, nobody actually is advocating on behalf of those children because they cannot discern. They cannot see things for what they are. And as a child of that region, somebody have to speak up, or somebody has to speak up, has to stand up against those monsters. Otherwise, the cycle of violence will go for eternity. So it was not a nice childhood. And it's still not a nice childhood. Today, after 45 years, and I'm nothing but eyewitness. I'm not an expert on the thing. I did not come to the United States to publish books. I didn't think that you could make money out of books. I just wanted to speak on behalf of this continuing tragedy that the people, the leaders of what's so-called revolution, don't care for the children. You know, and if I was able to fight the good fight and just stay standing on my feet, this is too much. And who's fighting on behalf of the children? If we keep empowering the predators, the criminals, who have been using them for so long by the name of revolution and by the name of Palestine, who cares about all the political entities? Let them go down to hell and let the people live. Let the children, the future of the children is what really matters. Not some hypothetical political entity everybody is fighting for. Who cares for another Arab country in the region if it doesn't take the children into consideration?
Exactly. Exactly. Because Hamas uses those children as like a ploy, as like bargaining chips, as everything. They don't care about the kids until they need a shield. When you need a shield, then you care about the kids. They don't. That's why everybody's like all up in arms about the children of Gaza. The people, the government of Gaza don't give a shit about the children of Gaza. So why should anybody else? Like, seriously. Like, that's, I mean, not necessarily why should anybody else, but they're not fighting for the kids. This ain't about the kids. It ain't about, like, oh, all these children are dying and so despicable. That's literally the only reason they care, is because then they can hide stuff.
I'm trying to think what Sinwar would how he would debate you. I don't like role-playing Sinwar, and he's sitting in some, running around in some cellar, saving himself. But maybe Sinwar would say, well, why are you saying this? We are fighting for the freedom, the dignity, the independence, the national independence of these children. We are fighting to give these children a future.
They're not fighting
How
for
is it that
at all,
we are
at all? And then even more so, you could say it's a revolution. You could say that, like, oh, they were tired of the oppression and the apartheid state, neither, which is true. You could say that. You could say, oh, well, it was a revolution. What they did on October 7th wasn't a revolutionary cause. It wasn't a just revolutionary move. You know what I mean? Like, attacking innocent people and taking hostages isn't how a revolution fights back. That's not. The people take up arms. They go to they kill the people that they, soldiers. If you just directed that whole hate towards soldiers, it would have been different. It would have been completely different. Then you could say, okay, it's a revolutionary force that wanted to come and been like, okay, we're tired of being oppressed. We're tired of being held down. We're going to go ahead and we're going to, we're going to fight back now. We're going to, viva la revolution. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. But that's not what you did. You didn't do nothing similar to that. You just went and attacked a bunch of innocent people and then tried to call it afterwards.
Using them. How is it that, or Hania, where is he, in Qatar, or some professors in universities? What am I missing?
Look, this is the game of the con artists who came throughout what's so-called the Palestinian Revolution, throughout the history
like
of the
crazy
conflict.
Again. Sorry.
At some point of their revolution, they realized that they could become billionaires and get a global status.
Won't be like this
because
tomorrow.
who really would
Jump
care
on
about
stream
the
tomorrow,
president
everything will
or
be
the prime
straight
minister
and
of a country in the Middle East? Or let's
Have
say
my
a
boom
Palestine.
arm, so my
Who would
mic
care
will be
about them?
good.
But as a revolutionary
cable hooked up,
leaders,
so that'll
they
be
got
straight.
status, they got
Everything will be
power,
good.
they got lots of money. And they
Might
forgot
end up ending this if
why they started.
If I keep dropping as many frames as I'm
and
dropping
the
right
people
now,
are just
then, yeah, we're gonna
fuel.
end
The children, how many, like in Gaza, in the past few wars,
gotta
let's
be
say the
annoying.
last one, the
annoying to me.
Hamas claimed that 1,000 children died. You know how much Hamas got money in return for the children death? Close to $1 billion. This is $1 million a hit. Okay. And the more they exaggerate the statistics, the more the international community give them money. This is their game. They want the children to die. You think somebody like Sinwar did not realize that Israel is going to come to Gaza strong? He knew. He wanted the civilian casualty. This is why he's putting booby traps all over the Gaza Strip so the children can die. And when the children die, he gets money in return. This is how the international community been trying to silence the Hamas and the Palestinian revolution intimidation by paying them off. And the more you give them money, the more violent they become. They started 20 years ago, suicide bombing attacks. Today they're committing a genocide on October 7, and they are using the Gazans as human shields. And instead of understanding the game and cutting the aid, don't give them more money. What we're doing, we're just going around like idiots saying free, free Palestine.
Bullshit. This is why I like Mossad.
You raised a few, mentioned a
Mossad
few
Hassan Youssef.
very
Please,
loaded
if you
words.
Haven't watched anything about
genocide.
him, please go watch all the videos you
deaths
can.
of
Retain
children.
everything that this man says.
I would add, people
He's
are
a
saying
genius.
that there's
He's-
been,
He's
I
got
think somebody in
intimate
the EU,
details into their
Foreign
inner
Minister of the
workings
EU
because
said that
he's a
Israel is
son of
using,
Hamas, So
starvation as a.
Yeah,
if you didn't say it, I apologize. But I think they said that Israel
wise, knowledgeable things
maybe
to say.
using starvation as a military tool. And Hamas, the health ministry is saying 30,000 people have died. My question, there is a question. Some people are saying Israel is committing a genocide and starving, and other people are saying, Israel, you got to put in more aid or more food. Put out fire 80%, because the 20% that you leave will catch back on, like cancer, heaven forbid. You cannot leave some part of the cancer if it's metastasizing.
I've been saying
you have to take
gotta,
all of it.
you got to
So
bomb
Hamas
them all. You got to do what you got to do.
It's to stop rule Gaza. It almost feels. I mean, what is the truth? What is the reality? It feels like people are looking at different
birds outside
realities. What is real here?
On a brighter
is
note,
really going on?
On a brighter note, the birds outside sound pretty.
Look, all the accusations of a genocide, they are baseless.
Big
They
and
don't have
small
evidence
ones
of anything they say, just propaganda, Hamas
Large ones
propaganda.
don't always happen, but you gotta think
And this is
small
the
ones
reverse
sometimes.
psychology. What Hamas did on October 7 was a genocide because it was motivated by hatred
Sorry, the frames
against
keep dropping. My
ethnicity.
internet's just.
Their goal was
oh my
to
God, so
ethnically
bad. I wish it
cleanse
wasn't.
people, a human race, because of their religion
Well, I'm just gonna,
and because
I'm
of
gonna go ahead and end this because my stream, my frames keep dropping, and it's horrible. And I know it's got to be like bothering everybody. I'm sorry about that. It'll be a lot better tomorrow. I don't know. Is it gonna work good? Let's see. Let's try. Let's try. If it messes up again and drops deep again, we're gonna.
So this is what defines a
We're
genocide.
gonna cancel it out.
They wiped
and
out an entire
close out the
community, more than
stream, and
20
then I'll be back
communities.
tomorrow
They killed
for a
everything,
legit
every
stream,
form of
hardwired.
life. For those who watched
And we'll get into
Hamas
some good
on
stuff. Maybe we'll play a
documented
game
footage
while we get
of
into
the massacre. Now, what's happening in Gaza? First of all,
Also,
Israel
if
has
you
the
haven't followed
capacity
me,
to drop a dirty
watch
bomb
streams.
on
We
Gaza
will be
Strip and
doing
wipe it off
giveaways
the map.
eventually.
It has
Yes,
that
we will.
capacity, whether people want to admit it or not. So if it was a matter of ethnic cleansing, why
All
Israel does not
donations
just
to
wipe
the stream
out
for the
Gaza
first
off
little
the map,
bit is
or
all going to go
carpet
towards
bomb the
giveaways here.
entire freaking region? Why they don't
Spread
do
the
it?
word. I'm
Why
going to
people
spread
are
the
not
word
asking
across
this
my
question
social
that Israel is
medias.
superior in every
The
possible
first
way
100
in Gaza
donations, we're
Strip?
going to
Why
get
they
that
are
all
not
together.
using their
We're
full
going to
capacity
take it.
in
We're
this
going to
war?
buy something awesome,
Instead,
and we're going to give it away
Israel was still
on
mourning
stream.
the genocide that happened on October 7, and it risked.
So make sure you tell everyone. Make sure you tell all your friends. Tell everybody. We're going to be doing some streams over the next week. All donations, first 100 donations I get, we're going to go buy something awesome. We're going to give it away on stream. And that's what we'll be doing. We're going to be doing a lot of giveaways on here and a lot of, stuff for you guys. So spread the word out. And that's what we're going to be doing. Who knows? Maybe we'll even do something special, like a special out-of-pocket thing, where you don't have to donate. You just have to be here for it. But, yeah, spread the word. I'm going to spread the word. We're going to get it going. As soon as I get all my stuff hardwired, hooked up good, we're going to be doing that. I can't wait for it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. And I hope you guys join me then. And thank you for being with me for the last hour and 15 minutes. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and I love you for it. And thank you. And I hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow for a better stream, and we can talk more about what we're going to be doing with the channel and everything. Again, you could have been anywhere, but you were here with me, and I love you for it. Thank you, and take care.